Let me back up and explain how I became the family burden while secretly funding my sister's entire lifestyle. My sister Rebecca and I grew up in the same house, but we lived in completely different worlds. She was 3 years older, and from the moment I was born, the roles were set. Rebecca was the golden child, beautiful, charismatic, always knowing exactly what to say to make our parents beam with pride. I was quiet, bookish, too serious, according to Mom. When Rebecca got pregnant at 19 and dropped out of college, Mom and Dad threw her a baby shower that cost more than my entire high school graduation. She's starting a family, Mom explained when I asked why they seemed so happy about it. That's what matters. When I got accepted to MIT on a full academic scholarship at 17, Dad's response was, "Well, let's hope you don't waste it like you waste everything else." I learned early that nothing I did would ever be enough. So I stopped trying to impress them. I focused on school, graduated top of my class, and took a software engineering position at a defense contractor in Virginia. I was 21 years old, making $95,000 a year, and my family had no idea because they never asked. Rebecca, meanwhile, married Josh, a nice enough guy who bounced between sales jobs and got laid off every 18 months like clockwork. They had 2 more kids. Mom and Dad helped them buy a house with a down payment gift of $40,000. They threw elaborate birthday parties for Rebecca's children. They posted constantly on Facebook about our brilliant daughter and her beautiful family. I wasn't in any of those photos. The call came 3 months after I started my job. Rebecca, her voice shaking with tears. "Emma, I don't know what to do. Josh lost his job again. We're going to lose the house. The mortgage is due in 5 days and we don't have it. Mom and Dad already helped with the down payment. I can't ask them again. They'll be so disappointed." I was 21 years old, living in a studio apartment, eating ramen most nights to build my savings. But I heard my sister crying, and despite everything, she was still my sister. "How much?" I asked. $2,800. I sent the wire transfer that afternoon. Rebecca cried with relief. "You saved us, Emma. I'll pay you back next month when Josh gets his new position. I promise." She never paid me back. But the next month she called again. And the month after that. And somewhere around month 6, the calls stopped being apologetic. They became expected. Then entitled. "Emma, I need the mortgage payment. Emma, the car payment is due. Emma, Maddie needs braces. Can you send 4,000? I sent every single payment. I told myself I was helping my nieces and nephew. That it wasn't their fault their parents were financially irresponsible. That family helps family. What I didn't realize was that Rebecca was telling our parents a very different story. While I was sending my sister thousands of dollars every month, my career was quietly exploding. The defense contractor work led to a cybersecurity consulting position. That led to a senior engineering role at a major tech company. By 25, I was making $240,000 a year. By 27, I was recruited to lead security architecture for a fintech startup. We went public when I was 28. My stock options were suddenly worth $3.7 million. I didn't tell my family. Why would I? They'd never once asked about my work. When forced to acknowledge my existence at family gatherings, Mom would say, "Emma does something with computers." In the same tone you'd say, "Emma collects trash for a living." So I stayed quiet. I bought a modest townhouse in Alexandria. I drove a 7-year-old Honda. I wore jeans and hoodies. And I continued sending my sister $3,200 every single month like clockwork. By the time I turned 30, I'd sent Rebecca approximately $420,000 over 7 years. Mortgage payments, car payments, credit card bills, school supplies, dance lessons, soccer fees, summer camp, her kids' dental work, her kitchen renovation, her emergency medical bills that turned out to be elective cosmetic procedures. I kept immaculate records. Every wire transfer, every payment confirmation, every text message where she promised to pay me back soon. I wasn't keeping records to use against her. I was keeping them because I'm an engineer. Documentation is what I do. But then something happened that changed everything. I was buying coffee at my usual cafe near my office when my credit card was declined. I tried another one. Also declined. Confused, I used my debit card and immediately called my credit card company from the parking lot. Ms. Anderson, these accounts are maxed out. That's impossible. I pay them off every month. Automatically. Let me check. I'm seeing significant purchases. Multiple cash advances. Balance transfers. The account has been active for. What purchases? Where? The representative listed stores I'd never shopped at. Cities I'd never visited. Purchases made while I was in meetings with timestamps to prove it. Ma'am, I think you're a victim of identity theft. It took 3 weeks to unravel. For credit cards I'd never opened, all maxed out. Total fraudulent charges, $167,000. All of them opened using my social security number, my mother's maiden name, my date of birth. The credit bureaus connected me with a fraud investigator. Within 2 days, he had the answer I already suspected in my gut. The applications were submitted from an IP address in Sterling, Virginia. They match your sister's home address. The cards were mailed there. The purchases match her spending patterns. Ms. Anderson, your sister has been committing identity theft for approximately 4 years. I sat in my home office, staring at the forensic report, and felt something inside me finally break. All those years. All that money. All that silence while she called me selfish. While she told our parents I never helped. While she bought designer purses and took beach vacations and remodeled her kitchen, using credit cards opened in my name. I wasn't angry yet. I was numb. But numbness turned to something else when Mom called that evening. Emma, you're coming to Christmas dinner this year, right? It was the first time Mom had called me in 6 months. Usually she texted. I was planning to, I said carefully. Good. Rebecca really wants you there. She says you've been distant lately. I'd been distant. Me. The person sending her $3,200 every single month. She's worried about you, sweetie. She says you never talk about your life. She thinks you might be struggling financially and are too proud to ask for help. I actually laughed. She thinks I'm struggling? Well, you do still rent that little apartment, don't you? And you drive that old car. Rebecca just worries. She's such a caring person. Mom, I own a townhouse. I bought it 3 years ago. Silence. Then, you never told us that. You never asked. More silence. Well. Anyway, Christmas is at Rebecca's. 4 o'clock. Try to dress nicely, okay? Josh's parents will be there and Rebecca wants to make a good impression. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding my phone, looking at the forensic report on my desk. And that's when I made my decision. I was going to Christmas dinner. But I wasn't going alone. I spent the next 3 weeks preparing. Not for revenge. I told myself it wasn't revenge. Just truth. Just documentation. Just making sure that when the moment came, I would have evidence that couldn't be denied or explained away. I hired a forensic accountant named Marcus Chen who specialized in family financial disputes. He compiled everything into a comprehensive report. * 7 years of wire transfers totaling $420,000. * detailed breakdown mortgage, $235,200, car payments, $84,000, utilities, $28,000, insurance, $21,000, miscellaneous, $51,800. * timeline showing when payments started. * text messages where Rebecca acknowledged the loans and promised repayment. * evidence that during this same period, Rebecca and Josh took 3 cruises, bought a boat, and remodeled their kitchen. Then Marcus compiled the fraud evidence. * 4 credit cards fraudulently opened in my name. * total fraudulent charges, $167,000. * IP address evidence. * purchase locations matching Rebecca's known shopping patterns. * transaction dates correlating with her social media posts. * 3 witness statements from credit card companies confirming fraud. This is one of the clearest cases of family financial fraud I've seen, Marcus told me. Your sister faces serious federal charges. Identity theft, mail fraud, wire fraud. We're talking 5 to 7 years minimum. I don't want her to go to prison, I said quietly. I just want the truth to come out. Marcus looked at me with something like pity. Ms. Anderson, with respect, she's been committing federal crimes against you for years while accepting your financial support, while calling you a burden. The truth coming out means she faces consequences. I nodded slowly. I know. Rebecca's house looked like a magazine spread. White lights everywhere. Perfectly decorated tree. Dining table set for 12 with expensive china I recognized because I'd paid for it when she said they desperately needed new dishes for entertaining. I arrived exactly at 4 o'clock. Marcus arrived separately at 4:30, as planned. He'd enter as if he'd gotten lost and needed directions, a cover that would allow him to be present but not suspicious. Mom hugged me at the door. Emma, you're here. And you brought a briefcase? Just some documents I need to review later, I said casually. Rebecca swept into the foyer, looking stunning in a cashmere dress that probably cost $400. Emma, I'm so glad you came. She hugged me, and I felt sick. This woman had been robbing me for years. Dad was in the living room with Josh and Josh's parents. Everyone was drinking wine and laughing. The kids were upstairs playing video games. Emma does computers, I heard Mom explaining to Josh's mother. Some kind of IT thing. She's very focused on her career. The dinner itself was elaborate. Roasted turkey, 3 kinds of potatoes, homemade rolls, for different desserts. Rebecca glowed as everyone praised her cooking and her hosting skills. You're such an amazing homemaker, Josh's mother gushed. This house, these kids, this meal, you really have it all. Rebecca smiled modestly. We've been very blessed. I cut my turkey into smaller and smaller pieces. Then Rebecca stood up to make a toast. I just want to say, Rebecca began, wine glass raised, how grateful I am for this beautiful family. Josh's parents for being so wonderful. Mom and Dad for always supporting us. Josh for being an amazing provider and father. She looked directly at me. And I guess I should acknowledge Emma too. My little sister, who, well, we're glad she could take time from her busy life to join us. A few awkward chuckles. Rebecca continued, her voice taking on a pointed edge. You know, Emma, I've been meaning to talk to you. Mom and I are worried. You've been so distant lately. You never help with family events. You never offer to babysit. You never contribute to anything. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. I mean, I know you're focused on your career and all, but family should come first. Don't you think? Dad nodded. Your sister's right, Emma. Family helps family. Rebecca and Josh do so much for everyone. You could learn from their generosity. I set down my fork carefully. Their generosity. Yes, Mom jumped in. Rebecca is always hosting holidays, always thinking of others. While you're very independent, which is fine, but sometimes it comes across as selfish. The word hung in the air. Selfish. I looked around the table. Josh's parents looked uncomfortable. Josh was staring at his plate. Rebecca was watching me with a small, satisfied smile. And that's when I heard it. The doorbell. Oh, that must be Marcus, I said calmly, standing up. Rebecca frowned. Who? The forensic accountant I hired. He has some documents to share with everyone. The room went completely silent. Marcus Chen entered with his professional briefcase and warm smile. Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the interruption during your holiday meal. My name is Marcus Chen, and I'm a certified forensic accountant. Ms. Anderson hired me to compile some financial documentation that she believes her family should see. Emma, what is this? Mom demanded. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the first folder. My hands were surprisingly steady. You all seem to have opinions about my selfishness, about how I never help this family, about how I'm distant and don't contribute. I placed the folder in the center of the table. So, I thought it was time you knew the truth. I opened the folder to the first page. A spreadsheet. 84 rows. This is a record of every wire transfer I've made to Rebecca over the past 7 years. Every single month. Without fail. While I was called selfish, I was sending my sister an average of $3,200 per month. Rebecca's face had gone pale. Emma? Let me break it down. I continued, my voice level. Mortgage payments, $235,200. I've been paying Rebecca's mortgage for 7 years. Every month. Because Josh keeps losing his job. Josh's face turned red. His parents stared at him in shock. Car payments, $84,000. For both cars. Rebecca's Audi and Josh's truck. Utilities, insurance, and other bills, $49,000. Children's expenses including tuition, sports, dance lessons, braces, and summer camp, $51,800. I looked directly at my sister. Total, $420,000. $420,000 over 7 years. Dad's mouth was hanging open. That's not possible. It's all documented, Marcus said smoothly, pulling out his own copies. Wire transfer confirmations, bank statements, text messages where Ms. Rebecca Anderson requested funds. I can provide copies to anyone who'd like to verify. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. Because Rebecca asked me not to. She said you'd be disappointed in her and Josh. She said it was temporary. She said she'd pay me back. I smiled without humor. She never paid back a single dollar. Rebecca found her voice. I was going to. Things have been tight. Things have been tight. I pulled out my phone and pulled up her Instagram. Cruise photos from 8 months ago. You took a cruise to the Bahamas. You bought a boat. You remodeled your kitchen with granite countertops and custom cabinets. You needed it all on my money while calling me the family burden. The silence was deafening. Then Marcus cleared his throat. I'm afraid there's more. Marcus pulled out a second, thicker folder. During the course of my investigation, Ms. Anderson discovered some irregularities with her credit. She asked me to investigate. He spread out papers on the table. Credit card statements, application forms, IP address logs. Over the past 4 years, someone has opened 4 credit cards in Ms. Anderson's name. These cards have been maxed out with purchases totaling $167,000. The applications were submitted from an IP address that traces to this address, 447 Maple Street, Sterling, Virginia. This address. Josh's mother gasped. Marcus continued in his professional tone. The fraudulent cards were used to purchase items including designer handbags, jewelry, furniture, and electronics. Many of these purchases can be cross-referenced with social media posts from Ms. Rebecca Anderson showing these exact items. He laid out photos. Rebecca's Instagram posts next to credit card statements. Same dates. Same stores. Same items. This constitutes identity theft, mail fraud, and wire fraud, all federal crimes. I didn't, Rebecca started, but her voice cracked. The IP logs don't lie, Marcus said. Nor do the purchase locations, which match your known shopping patterns, your credit card swipe locations, and in some cases, geotagged social media posts. You purchased a designer handbag at Tyson's Corner at 2:47 p.m. on June 14th of last year. Ms. Anderson was in a board meeting in San Francisco with 30 witnesses. Her phone's GPS data proves she was 2,800 miles away. Dad was staring at Rebecca in horror. Becky, please tell me this isn't true. Rebecca's eyes were filling with tears. I was going to pay it all back. The kids needed. The kids needed a boat? I asked quietly. They needed a cruise? They needed you to have a Prada purse? You have so much money, Rebecca suddenly shouted, standing up. You work for some tech company making probably 6 figures, and you live in a tiny townhouse and drive a piece of crap car. You don't even use your money. You're just hoarding it while we struggle. I was giving it to you, I said. Every month. For 7 years. While you committed crimes using my identity. While you destroyed my credit score. While you called me selfish in front of our entire family. Mom was crying now. Emma, honey, we didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You assumed. You assumed I was struggling. You assumed I was distant and cold. You assumed Rebecca was the generous one because she hosts holidays with my money. You assumed I was the burden while I was carrying this entire family. I stood up and closed my briefcase. Marcus has filed all necessary paperwork with the credit bureaus to report the fraud. He's also prepared a criminal complaint to file with the FBI. The FBI? Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. Identity theft is a federal crime, Ms. Anderson, Marcus said. We can file the complaint, or your sister can choose not to. That's her decision. Everyone looked at me. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. I saw the woman who used to braid my hair when I was little.
Who taught me how to ride a bike.
Who protected me from bullies in middle school. I also saw the woman who spent 7 years using me, stealing from me, and convincing our family I was the problem. I'm not filing the criminal complaint, I said finally. Rebecca's whole body sagged with relief. But I continued. I am ending all financial support immediately. No more mortgage payments. No more car payments. No more anything. And you're going to work out a payment plan with Marcus to repay the $167,000 in fraudulent charges. If you miss a single payment, or if I discover any additional fraud, the criminal complaint gets filed immediately. How are we supposed to pay our mortgage? Josh asked desperately. The same way everyone else does. With your jobs. With your income. By living within your actual means instead of mine. I looked at my parents. I'm also done with family holidays where I'm treated like a burden while funding the entire operation. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with acknowledging reality. I'm not the failure. I'm not the selfish one. I'm the person who's been holding this family together while being told I'm tearing it apart. Mom reached for me. Emma, please. I need time, I said, to figure out if I even want to repair this. Because right now, I feel like I've been funding my own abuse for 7 years. I walked to the door. Marcus followed. Behind me, I heard Rebecca start to sob. Josh's parents were asking quiet, sharp questions. Dad was saying something about, how could we not know? I paused at the door and turned back one last time. For what it's worth, Rebecca, I would have kept helping you if you'd just been honest. If you treated me with basic respect. If you'd acknowledged what I was doing instead of calling me a burden. You didn't have to commit fraud. You didn't have to lie to everyone. You just had to be honest. I'm sorry, Rebecca whispered. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't pay back $420,000. Sorry doesn't repair 7 years of destroyed credit. Sorry doesn't undo being called selfish in front of the entire family while I was literally paying your mortgage. I walked out into the cold December air. Marcus walked with me to my car. That took courage, he said. It took 7 years of documentation, I replied. He smiled slightly. I meant not filing the criminal complaint. A lot of people in your position would have. She's still my sister, despite everything. Family's complicated. Family's expensive, I corrected. The first week was silent. No calls.
No texts.
Nothing. The second week, I got an email from Dad. Subject line. We owe you an apology. It was long. It was detailed. It acknowledged every assumption they'd made, every dismissive comment, every time they'd praised Rebecca while ignoring me. He ended with, we failed you as parents. I don't know if you can forgive us, but I hope you'll let us try to do better. I didn't respond immediately. I needed time. Week 3, I got a text from Rebecca. I started working with Marcus on the payment plan. I got a job at a dental office. Josh is working 2 jobs. We're selling the boat. I'm so sorry, Emma, for everything. I responded, I hope it works out. Nothing more. I wasn't ready for more. By week 4, I got a surprising call. Josh's mother. Ms. Anderson? This is Patricia Wells. I wanted to thank you. I was confused. Thank me? My son has been coasting his entire adult life, blaming his job losses on everyone but himself, using your generosity as a cushion while never taking responsibility. You forcing them to face reality. It's the wake-up call they needed. Josh has been working harder these past 3 weeks than I've seen in years.
So, thank you.
Truly. After she hung up, I cried. Not sad tears. Not angry tears. Just release. It's been 6 months since that Christmas dinner. Here's where everything stands. Rebecca and Josh are making their payment plan work. Barely, but they're doing it. She's working full-time. He's keeping both his jobs. They sold the boat, the Audi, she drives a used Honda now, and most of the designer items she'd bought with my credit. They're living in a genuinely modest way for the first time in their marriage. They're keeping the house, but only because I agreed to one final thing. I converted their remaining mortgage into a loan to them at 3% interest, meaning they're paying me instead of the bank. Marcus handled all the paperwork. They've made every payment on time. I suspect the fear of losing the house to their sister is a powerful motivator. Mom and Dad have been trying. Really trying. They call every week. They ask about my work. They sent flowers when my company won a major contract. Dad sent me an article about women in tech with a note. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I've had dinner with them twice. It's awkward, but it's honest. That's new. Rebecca and I have exchanged maybe a dozen texts. She doesn't call because she knows I'm not ready. Her last text was a photo of her kids doing homework at the kitchen table with the caption, teaching them to be responsible with money, starting young. I appreciated that. As for me, I'm working with a therapist on what she calls financial codependency and scapegoat syndrome. Apparently, being the family's secret ATM while being blamed for being selfish is a pretty common pattern. Who knew? I'm also learning to spend money on myself. I bought a new car, a Tesla Model 3. I booked a trip to Japan. I'm renovating my townhouse. It feels strange, spending money on myself after years of sending it to my sister. But my therapist says it's healthy. You are funding her life while putting yours on hold, she explained. That's not generosity. That's self-erasure.
She's probably right.
Here's what I've learned. The people who call you a burden are often the ones you're carrying. For 7 years, I was told I was selfish, distant, and unhelpful. While I was paying someone else's mortgage. While I was funding someone else's lifestyle. While I was being stolen from. The truth is, I wasn't the burden. I was the foundation. And the moment I stopped being their foundation, their entire life collapsed, not because I was cruel, but because they built everything on someone else's back while complaining about the weight. My sister called me the family burden at Christmas dinner. In front of everyone. While living in a house I'd paid for, driving a car I'd paid for, feeding kids I'd helped support. The irony would be funny if it didn't hurt so much. But here's what I know now. Documentation is power. Truth is power. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling someone's denial and force them to face reality. I don't know if my family and I will ever be truly close again. I don't know if Rebecca will ever fully understand the magnitude of what she did. I don't know if my parents will ever really see me instead of the idea they had of me. But I know this. I'm not the burden. I never was. And I'm finally free. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. Rebecca's handwriting. Inside was a check for $3,200, 1 month's mortgage payment. And a note. This is the first of many. It'll take me years to repay you. Maybe decades. But I will. Not because Marcus's payment plan forces me to, but because you deserved better than what I gave you. You deserved a sister who appreciated you.
Who thanked you. Who saw you.
I'm sorry it took losing everything to finally see what you'd been giving all along. Love, Rebecca. P.S. Maddie asked why we don't see Aunt Emma anymore. I told her the truth, that I hurt you, and you need time. She made you a card anyway. It's enclosed. The card was a crayon drawing of 2 stick figures holding hands. One tall, one short. The caption in a child's handwriting. I miss you, Aunt Emma. I'm sorry my mom was mean. I called Rebecca that night. Thank you for the letter, I said. And tell Maddie I loved her card. She'll be so happy. Rebecca's voice was thick with emotion. Emma, I know, I said. I'm not ready for more yet. But this is a start. A start is more than I deserve. Probably, I agreed. But it's what I'm willing to give. We hung up. I put Maddie's card on my refrigerator. Maybe someday I'll be ready to be Aunt Emma again. Maybe someday I'll attend another family Christmas. But for now, I'm content being Emma. Just Emma. The woman who learned she was never a burden. She was just surrounded by people who couldn't carry their own weight. And that's their problem. Not mine. Not anymore.